Citroën. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. Its founder was named the youngest self-made female billionaire in the United States. Walgreens and Safeway had partnered with the company to bring its technology to millions of patients. Boards of directors included former secretaries of state and defense. The story seemed, by any conventional measure, like one of the great entrepreneurial triumphs of the modern era. None of the core technology worked. That gap between the scale of the empire and the emptiness at its foundation is the central fact of the Theranos story. Not a company that rose and then stumbled. A company that claimed capabilities it never possessed and raised more than $700 million on that claim. Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos in 2003. She was 19 years old and had left Stanford University to pursue the idea. The problem she said she was solving was real and significant. Conventional blood testing required venous draws, laboratory equipment, and days of waiting. Holmes proposed something radically different, a compact automated device that could run dozens of diagnostic tests from a single finger prick of blood, with results delivered in hours rather than days. The market for diagnostic testing was enormous. The inconvenience of the existing system was genuine, and the emotional appeal of democratizing healthcare was powerful. Those ingredients produced an extraordinary fundraising outcome. Venture capitalists, private investors, and prominent individuals collectively supplied more than $700 million. By 2013 and 2014, the company carried a private valuation of $9 billion. Forbes placed Holmes on its billionaire list. The company's narrative, a young dropout transforming medicine the way Silicon Valley had transformed computing, was exactly the kind of story that investors, media, and institutional partners wanted to believe. And for a period, that belief produced real momentum. Theranos secured retail partnerships that would have placed its testing services inside pharmacies accessible to ordinary consumers. Its board attracted figures whose names alone conferred credibility. The company operated in deliberate secrecy, which was framed not as evasion but as protection of proprietary technology. In Silicon Valley, the culture of stealth before launch was familiar and respected. Theranos used that familiarity as structural cover. The hidden crack was present from the beginning, because the foundation was not a technology that worked imperfectly. It was a claim that outpaced what the science could actually deliver. Ian Gibbons, a British biochemist with more than 30 years of experience in medical diagnostics, joined Theranos as chief scientist in 2005. According to the documented record, Gibbons attempted to raise concerns with Theranos management about the inaccuracy of the company's testing devices. Those concerns did not produce course correction. The machinery of the company, its fundraising, its partnerships, its public narrative, was already too far forward to reverse. Ramesh Balwani, known as Sunny Balwani, joined the company as president and chief operating officer. He and Holmes were in a personal relationship at the time. Together, they oversaw the operations of a company that, according to the findings of courts and regulators, was representing to investors and partners that its blood testing technology was reliable when it was not. The precise details of what each person knew and when they knew it were litigated extensively. What the court record established was that both Holmes and Balwani were ultimately convicted of fraud. The choices made under pressure compounded the structural problem. Rather than disclose the technology's limitations to partners or investors, the company continued to expand its claims and its commercial footprint. When regulators and reporters began to scrutinize Theranos more closely, the initial response was denial and legal threat, rather than transparency. A company sitting on $700 million in investment and a $9 billion valuation had enormous incentive to protect that position, and that incentive shaped every decision at the margin. The unraveling accelerated in 2015 and 2016. Investigative reporting began surfacing documented inconsistencies between what Theranos claimed and what its technology could demonstrate. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services conducted inspections of the company's laboratory operations. Forbes, which had placed Holmes on its billionaire list, revised its estimate of her net worth to zero. Fortune named her among what it called the world's most disappointing leaders. The distance between the public narrative and the documented reality had become impossible to sustain. Theranos voided or corrected tens of thousands of blood test results that had been delivered to real patients. The implications of that fact deserve a moment of weight. These were medical diagnostics, not software updates. People had made health decisions, or had decisions made for them, on the basis of results that the company itself eventually acknowledged were unreliable. The human stakes of the fraud were not abstract. The company dissolved. Holmes and Balwani were tried separately and both convicted. Holmes was convicted of fraud against investors. Balwani was convicted on multiple counts of fraud as well. The loss to investors exceeded $700 million. The $9 billion valuation reached zero. The retail partnerships collapsed. The laboratory was shut down. The aftermath extended well beyond the balance sheet. Ian Gibbons, the chief scientist who had tried to raise concerns about testing accuracy years before the public collapse, did not live to see the resolution. Employees who had worked at the company, many of whom had no knowledge of the fraud, found their professional histories marked by the association. The investors who had supplied the capital, which included not only institutions but individuals, absorbed losses that in many cases were total. The brand itself became a cultural shorthand. A television miniseries dramatized Holmes's rise and fall. Podcasts, books, and documentaries examined how the deception had been sustained for so long against so many sophisticated actors. That question, how did this work for as long as it did, is actually more instructive than the simpler question of how it ended. Theranos persisted because several structural features of its environment allowed it to. Investors in private companies have limited ability to independently verify technology claims, particularly in specialized scientific domains. The prestige of the board provided social proof that substituted for technical due diligence. The culture of Silicon Valley, which celebrated audacious vision and accepted stealth as legitimate, created a context in which extraordinary claims faced less friction than they would have in a regulated public market. And the emotional appeal of the mission, affordable, accessible healthcare, made skepticism feel not just inconvenient, but somehow unkind. None of those features are unique to Theranos. They are features of the system that the company exploited. The specific mechanism that made this collapse possible was not one person's ambition or one board's negligence. It was the convergence of a verification gap, a prestige-based trust system, and a mission powerful enough to suppress the ordinary appetite for evidence. That mechanism has not been removed from the system. The names change. The domain shifts from blood diagnostics to energy storage to artificial intelligence. But the structure, extraordinary claim, charismatic founder, prestigious validators, limited independent verification, and enormous capital at stake, reappears with regularity. Theranos is not a story about one company. It is a story about what happens when the incentive to believe outweighs the incentive to verify. And the cost of that imbalance, in this case, was measured not only in dollars, but in medical tests that real people trusted and should not have.